the biggest challenge is being able to have this, to make the pace of change coherent for everyone in the company. Because change is a lot, anxiety is a lot. And how do you ensure that they can take change in digestible ways? How do you make that pace of change coherent, well-paced for everyone to come with you on that journey?
We're so honored to have you here.
So delighted to be here.
Today was a very big day for you. Can we? Leena was inducted as a commander of the Order of the British Empire this morning.
Thank you.
Who led the induction?
Prince William.
Prince
of
and
Wales.
did you wear blue jeans to your induction?
No, I didn't.
Just a
I was
second.
dressed in Chanel haute couture with a fabulous hat.
Talk about how you got here. I want to know more about the Leena Nair story. There are so many firsts on your resume. You were the first as an industry outsider to head Chanel. You came from Unilever, consumer products background, very unusual. You're the first woman of color to have this
First
position.
person of color.
First person of color to be in this position. That's significant. When you were a child growing up, did you say, someday I'm going to be CEO of Chanel? I mean, how did this happen?
No, it's a great question, Alan. I grew up in India. I grew up in a very small town in the west of India. Very humble beginning, very humble upbringing, very loving family. The world of luxury was far away from anything I was exposed to in my town. I had no role models of women who worked in the town.
We weren't using number 5.
No. Chanel, Gabriel Chanel, very, very far away. I remember being very ambitious, driven, and causing a lot of headache to my mother, who was like, you're so ambitious, girls are not meant to be so ambitious, who's going to marry you, and all of that.
What was your ambition to be?
Oh, that's interesting you ask, because the other day my cousin was telling me this story, which I didn't remember actually, but when we were 9 years old, all of us had to get up on stage. And remember, we were the only girls' school that had come up. We were only till 7th standard, hoping that one day the school would get to high school. And each of us had to talk about our ambition. And each of the girls came up. One said, I wanted to be a teacher, nurse, etc., etc. And I stood up and I said, I'd like to be the Prime Minister of India. To much nervous laughter in the room, a lot of sniggering. And I'd actually forgotten that story. But I could identify that girl. I was very driven, very ambitious. I felt my destiny was more than my town, but I didn't know how I'd reach there.
Well, you listened to Tony Blair earlier. This is a much better job than being Prime Minister.
Oh, this is the best job in the world, Alan. I mean, everybody's wives and daughters love me for sure. And the men, not so much. They don't want to spend so much.
That's all right. It's all right. I like Allure, by the way. It's a nice set. So you ended up at Unilever. How did you get to Unilever? It was an engineering.
Yes, I did engineering. Again, was one of the few women doing engineering in those days. Loved it, but I was a lousy engineer when I was working as one. Did my management studies, joined Unilever as a management trainee. Fantastic training ground, great company that taught me all the fundamentals of business. So working in sales, marketing, supply chain, factories, living in rural India, absolutely went through everything.
And they moved you through everything, ultimately to human resources.
And then I became the Chief Human Resources Officer, which was the last role I did in Unilever. Loved Unilever. I'd learned so much. I'd learned end-to-end everything about business there.
Did they teach leadership?
In a big way. In a big way. It was fantastic. We had great leaders. Paul Polman was a CEO at the time. He persuaded me to move from India to London 15 years ago. And learned the fundamentals of business, learned the drivers of growth, learned what it is to be an international business, because Unilever is in 190 countries with 175,000 people working for Unilever. So loved it, didn't have any ambition to go anywhere else, loved what I did, running human resources for Unilever, till Chanel called. And it was hard for me because I remember thinking, why me? to which one of my mentors, Indra Nui, said, next time you ask that question, I'm going to kick your ass. So you didn't go looking for them. They came looking for you. So please don't ask this question, why me? So it was compelling to join Chanel. I mean, it's an iconic brand. It took me some time to get over the sense of betrayal I felt leaving Unilever after 30 years and having learned immense lessons in leadership, on sustainability, on purpose-led leadership, on being curious about the world outside. But the opportunity to join Chanel was just so compelling. It's the most followed brand in the world. A brand that's been here for 100 years, has had the most inspiring founder, a radical innovator, who 100 years ago created trousers for women and crossbody bags so that women could have the freedom of movement and could ride a horse, things that feel very basic today. But that's what she did. And the scale and variety of the job, truly it is the best job in the world. It's the world leader in fashion, 10 collections here, can't get more exciting. You have to be ahead of every trend that's happening. It's the fragrance leader of the world, the #1 fragrance company in the world. It's the second biggest beauty brand in the world. We're serious in watches. Never forget Chanel watches are really, really technically sound.
But
So
Leena, I mean, no CEO job is all good times. Okay, you have this incredible training school at Unilever. You're called up, you're given this job, you take the job. It's a totally different environment. What was the biggest surprise you found when you started the job? What was the thing you didn't expect?
You know, the biggest challenge for me, and actually there was lots of transition going on. I was moving from Anglo-Dutch to French heritage. I mean, c'est difficile.
A little different, you think?
C'est difficile, weekly classes, not easy. I was moving from a public sector company to a private family-owned business, independent business, been here 100 years. I was moving from HR to CEO. I don't think any board ever does a succession planning for a CHRO to become CEO. And I was moving from FMCG to luxury. The toughest transition by far, Alan, was FMCG to luxury.
Really?
Because in FMCG, you're learning about mental and physical availability everywhere. You want to be everywhere. You want to make a lot of product. You want to ship it everywhere. We used to make 2 billion sachets a day in Unilever. And coming to luxury, where it's about craftsmanship, it's about savoir-faire, it's about making less. If you have a fantastic design, you make only 5 pieces because you want people to yearn for it. You want them to desire it. You want them to go on the thrill of the hunt. You want them to love that jacket so much they search for it in Paris and they don't get it there, and then they go to Dubai and then they search for it there.
It's not like selling soap.
It was like opening my brain, unlearning everything I'd learned, and relearning everything.
And how did you do that? You don't really have a lot of time to go back to school when you're CEO.
Oh, I travel like crazy. I think I was traveling constantly, and I'm traveling constantly even now. It's 3.5 years now. But I traveled everywhere. I went to 25 countries, to 125 points of sales, spending time with our boutique staff. I went to all our maisons, our ateliers, those who make the product. I mean, it takes 200 hours to make this haute couture jacket. So really understanding how they work on it, what's the savoir-faire involved.
So you did a listening tour.
Did a listening tour with zero arrogance, complete humility. My standard question was, help me understand how you do this. Help me understand why we look at it this way. I had to cast away all my biases, assumptions, this is how we do it in FMCG, and go on a humility and curiosity tour. Just
you had to have made a mistake or two along the way.
You know, mistakes are part of what I really think embracing failure is a big part of what's helped me be successful. And yes, of course you make mistakes. I mean, it's nice. I wanted to sort of be on this tour, but the macroeconomy, the geopolitical volatility, all of that has been challenging for the last 3.5 years. So it did put me in the middle of action.
And what is the biggest challenge that you've faced in guiding the company over the last 3.5 years?
The biggest challenge is being able to have this, to make the pace of change coherent for everyone in the company. Because change is a lot, anxiety is a lot. And how do you ensure that they can take change in digestible ways? How do you make that pace of change coherent, well-paced for everyone to come with you on that journey? In fact, I'm very, very intentional about how I frame even the words I speak. Using words like crazy world, turbulent world, strip us of all agency. So I really am very cautious about talking about the powerful times we live in, the defining times we live in, the awakened times we live in, which I truly think we're all awake, completely awake and managing it. So being very intentional.
You don't want people to feel out of control.
No, I want every leader to feel a sense of agency, that they can lead, that they can create through whatever the world is throwing at us. And keeping this two-paced world, which is on one hand, you want to anticipate everything that's happening in the world, and in the other, you want to be so agile, you can respond to anything that's thrown at you in the moment. And doing this two-paced thing at all time, two speed, is really challenging.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's kept me inspired through these days is a quote that's attributed to Ilya Prigogine, who was a chemistry Nobel Prize winner. I'm not sure, because when you Google, you're not really sure. You get different answers from different ChatGPTs. But basically, it says, when a complex system is far from equilibrium, it's small islands of coherence that uplift the entire system. So you can be an island of coherence. That's what I always tell our people at Chanel. We're going to be that island of coherence. We're going to say what we do what we say. We're going to lead with integrity. We're going to stand for the right things in the world. And when we do that, we will be an island of inspiration for everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's...
Well put. You talk about that, stand for the right thing, stand for integrity. I know from conversations we had when you were at Unilever that purpose, people, diversity and inclusion, being a steward of the planet, all those things were very important to the way you pushed the company forward.
Absolutely.
Just as important at Chanel?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the discoveries of Chanel when I came in was to see how extraordinary we were as a company in thinking in a highly high integrity way about sustainability, about inclusion. I mean, for example, it is a philosophy of how we do business. It's a philosophy of the long-term mindset we have. For example, I mean, if you take gender, 76% of my workforce is women. 76%. 96% of my clients are women. 60% of my top team are women. So it's not even a debate. It's how we run our business. You know, we have fabulous, fantastic women running a business in different parts of the world. And continuing to do that in how we do philanthropy, for example. You know, I know most people don't know this, but Chanel is one of the largest corporate foundations dedicated to women and girls. We put 125 million a year in 267 partners in 50 countries, and we impact 9 to 10 million women and girls a year through the work we do. So continuing to build on that is a huge opportunity. And sustainability. I mean, we're one of the, I think, 1 or 2 luxury brands that have set a commitment for net zero 2040. Yeah? We've just announced a huge number of initiatives in circularity. We're setting up a B2B hub, not just for us, but for the entire sector, to encourage recycling and upcycling of leather, cashmere, wool, silk. So it is integral to who I am and the values I believe in, but it's also integral to who Chanel is and the values and beliefs that have shaped Chanel for the last 100 years.
You may have noticed that in the US these days, everything you just said would get you tagged as a woke CEO worthy of some form of retribution. I mean, how do you, and the US is obviously a big market to you, how do you deal with, and you have activist investors who are looking at people talking about climate goals or diversity goals. How do you think about that?
By constantly emphasizing the long-term nature of it. Yeah? This is not us waking up doing this in 1 year, 2 years. This is, Chanel has been on this journey for the last 10, 20 years. And being independent gives me the opportunity to be able to say, that's who we are going to be for the next 10 years. You know, when I read about all this, that CEOs are in place for 3 years or 5 years if you're lucky, the pressure to conform and, you know, deliver to a multiple range of stakeholders, the pressure not always, in Tony's words, being authentic to what you think or not. I think the luxury of time we have, because we are in luxury, the luxury of time we have because we've always been a long-term player, allows me to look at it in the next 10, 20 years. This is not us doing it because it's a fad or not a fad or someone, it's just sticking the path on doing the right thing.
And you don't have to worry about activist shareholders, and you don't have to do quarterly earnings, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm sure working for family ownership has challenges of its own.
See, for me, it's been a revelation and a huge positive, especially when the world is going through powerful times.
Yeah.
It's fabulous to be able to set your own agenda and to be able to stick the course. For example, last year, 2024 was one of our record years of investment. We invested $1.8 billion in retail expansion and creating the ultimate client experience. This year is going to be another record year of investment, similar amounts.
Even though revenues went down.
Even though revenues went down last year by 4%, we continue to invest. And this year, we're continuing to invest. 2025 will be another record year of investment. So if I step back and see the luxury sector, I mean, most people think luxury is a small sector, and that's what I used to think sitting at Unilever, FMCG. I mean, what's going on in luxury? It was never very clear. But luxury is a huge sector. It's greater than $400 billion today. Personal goods luxury market tripled in size in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's explosive growth between 2019 and 2023. It grew more than 30%. It's the sector where the young engage the most.
Yeah.
30% of luxury spending by 2030 is going to be Generation Z, who buy because they think buying luxury means you buy less and you can invest it and keep it for longer. So that's the dynamics of the sector. And in that sector, for us to stay long-term is the right mindset.
Yeah.
Because if I step back and I see this, luxury has always endured. Beauty has always endured. There's always been a space for beauty in the world. People need a respite. Luxury, craftsmanship, savoir-faire, beautiful things provide that respite. So for me, if I step back and see the sector, there's every reason to be optimistic. And therefore, staying long-term and doing the right things and being that island of coherence is so true of being Chanel. It means doubling down on what makes us uniquely Chanel.
A lot of that extraordinary growth, if I understand the numbers correctly, over the last 20 years has come from China. What do you make of that?
Yeah.
What do you think of Chanel and China right now?
You know, macroeconomic and geopolitical volatility at the moment in the world, including China, is challenging at the moment. And there are things that all of us in this room are grappling with, that I'm grappling with too. And after explosive growth, I mean, Chanel, we grew unprecedented in the last 3 years. Before 2024, we doubled our business to almost $20 billion. So in 3 years, and doubled our headcount, almost tripled our distribution network. So it was a period of unprecedented growth. We're now seeing the momentum much slower. Yeah, as you said, negative top line for last year. But again, if I put my long-term hat on, which is what we uniquely always do at Chanel, put our long-term hat on, China is a market that has great sophistication and refinement, loves luxury, fast-paced adoption of luxury, is at the front end of redefining retail, offline, online, and retail entertainment, every form of retail you can think of. So it's a very, very important market for me. So we haven't taken our foot off the investments. You know, we have more than 127 boutiques in China, and we invested in 15 more last year, and 15 more this year that we're going to open up. We continue to invest in China because we believe in the longer-term potential of what China and Chinese client means for us. You know, for example, we did our spectacular Métier d'Art show in Hangzhou, Westlake, China. Absolutely stunning, spellbinding show, the most viewed fashion show ever. So we continue to invest in China. We've invested in salon privés for clients in Shenzhen to engage with the details of the brand, the beauty of the brand, the craftsmanship, the savoir-faire, to get into the details of what this brand stands for. And we've continued to open in Tier 2 cities like Chengdu, Nanjing, ensuring that we are talking to the diversifying client base in China.
Where's the next
so
big...
I am optimistic about China.
Where's the next big growth area for luxury goods and Chanel in particular?
You know, I would love to say from a geography, India, because it's my homeland.
You want to go back, yeah.
But I do think India will open up, but at its own pace. India is going to be on a different trajectory from how China did.
Yeah.
But I think Southeast Asia continues to have potential. 50% of my business is from Asia, is from APAC. So Southeast Asia's potential. Latin America is coming into its own. So I do believe there are enough spaces for luxury to think about new markets, new cities, new growth areas, new geographies.
Have tariffs had a big impact on your business?
See, Like everyone, we are monitoring the situation. We don't know exactly where everything will land. But yes, we make 100% of our production in Europe. Everything is made in France and Italy. All our ateliers, our workshops, all these shoes are made in Italy. This, ready-to-wear is made in France. So, yes, everything is made in
But you've
Europe.
said you won't increase prices because of tariffs?
What we've said is we are waiting and monitoring the situation, which is the truth.
Yeah.
And I want to wait and see where the needle finally falls and then take a call on what we can absorb, what we need to pass on, etc. But those are decisions for later.
Speed round. Lots of quick
We've reached
questions.
the speed round already.
Yeah.
I could have gone on forever, Alan.
Well, keep going. But lots of quick questions to ask you. First of all, London or Paris?
Oh, that's a tough one. Oh my God, I'll have enemies on either side because London is globally headquartered in London, but our 4,000 creative people sit in Paris. So both.
You're not going to choose.
I'm not going to choose. C'est magnifique. Paris, c'est formidable. London's très bon. Both are beautiful.
When you're getting away from work and you want to relax, do you go to the country or do you go to the city?
More country.
More country? Do you prefer...
I like walking barefoot. Reminds me of my childhood.
I can't imagine you walking barefoot. I always see you in fabulous shoes. Do you prefer 15-minute meetings or 30-minute meetings?
25-minute.
Why 25?
Because it just gives me 5 minutes to wrap up.
Chanel No. 5 or Coco Mademoiselle?
Both of them equally. Again, I can't.
You will not
have
choose
any
between
of the
your
teams feel bad.
children. Do you have a favorite luxury brand other than Chanel?
Absolutely no. What are you saying? How can anything match up? There's nothing in my wardrobe other than Chanel. I mean, how can I even wear anything else? It's not the same feel.
Well, Commander Leena Nair, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Alan. Really appreciate it.